Hello YouTube, welcome back to another pen video. Here in front of me I have two Pilot pens. On the right side is the Pilot Custom 823 and on the left is the Pilot Custom 743. A little background story about these two pens. First, I had acquired the Custom 823, and at that time I was into fine nibs, in other words nibs that have a thinner line width. And truly, I still like fine nibs, but this is a Japanese fine, and it is a thinner line width than a German or European fine, for example. And so actually I did not like the way this pen wrote. I thought the line was very thin, but what really bothered me was that this pen was skipping. And it actually took me a while of reading online, looking at forums, and trying different inks to realize that these Pilot pens perform optimally with Pilot Iroshizuku ink. Pretty much that's it, actually. It would skip with every other ink, including Waterman, Mont Blanc, Diamine, basically anything that I put in the pen. And so I thought about it and I said maybe, at one point, even before I discovered that Iroshizuku ink was the answer, I saw a few other solutions. One was to get a thicker nib, or wider, or broader nib, I should say. And so then I purchased this Custom 743 with the medium nib, which I really like the line width of this nib. And this one would skip too, though. And so it wouldn't skip when I used the Iroshizuku ink. So that was the solution temporarily for me, but I realized, I had questioned, is there a way to improve the ink flow so that these pens do not skip when I use other inks? Because I have other inks as well that I'd like to use. And so then I discovered the Flexible Nib Factory online, and I purchased their, what they call the 2-slit ink feed. And this is a feed that you can use. It's, I believe it's made of ebonite actually, and it allows for better ink flow. And I know it might be a little bit hard to see on the camera, hard to focus, but basically it allows for more ink flow. Here we can see 2 slits versus the 3 that I had bought for my Pilot Custom Heritage 912, which I've already made a video and I'll upload it showing how I bought the 3-slit ebonite feed for this one because it was experiencing railroading and skipping as well. And that's actually helped to improve this pen's performance a lot. This one has the very flexible Falcon nib, and so it's really helped a lot with the way that it performs. So I'm happy with the performance in this pen. And so I'm looking forward to replacing the ink feed on this pen. So notice I only have one ink feed and I have 2 pens here. And so what is this video going to show? It's going to show how to replace the ink feed in your Pilot pen. It would actually be a similar process in either pen because they both have, as you'll notice, the same nib size. So you can see it has pretty much it's the same or a very similar pen, but the 823 is a vacuum filler, as you can see here, and it is a transparent body, and this one is a cartridge converter. The 743 is a cartridge converter with an opaque pen body. And so in this video, I'm actually going to replace, or transfer rather. So I'm going to take the nib from the 743, that's the medium, and I'm going to take that and put it in my 823. So I'll swap the nibs, and then I'm going to replace, in the same process, I'm going to replace this ink feed with the ebonite one that I purchased from Flexible Nib Factory. And as you might imagine, I'm doing this because I want to optimize the writing performance in the 823, and to be frank with you, since I've got the 912 with the opaque pen body and the flexible nib, I no longer really have a need for the 743, so I will likely sell this pen in the future, either on eBay or on Reddit pen swap. So I'll decide at a future visit. I'll probably still make a pen review video for the 743 before I sell it, just for the sake of sharing it with my viewers. So, okay, I've explained my intentions of this video. Let's go ahead and begin with the transfer process. The first part is going to be acquiring the nib from the 743. And so these are friction fit nibs. In other words, they just pop in and pop out. It's really easy to remove them. Let's go ahead and do that. We're going to grip this kind of around the base of the feed and nib, and so that way we're trying to put minimal pressure on the wings or on the tip of the nib, because remember, this is a 14 karat solid gold nib, and it may have some it might be fragile to some degree. We don't want to bend and destroy or damage the nib. So let's go ahead and do that. We're basically going to grip it and we're going to pull, and sometimes we may have to get some type of a material to kind of add traction, but as you can see, it came out pretty easily. And then one thing to note that's very important, and I don't know how well the camera is going to pick it up, but the silicone O-ring has not come out with the nib unit. That is critical. That's very important. There are ways to pull it out, but basically it sits there and it helps to prevent leakages. And so that's currently, I can see it. I don't know if you can on the camera, but I can see it sitting there in the barrel. But that's not a big deal. That's easy again to remove. So we have the nib that we're planning to put into the 823. So I'm going to set these pieces over here. These can be assembled now or later. Does not really matter. Set this right over here to keep our workspace clear. And then again, set this over here because this is going to go with the new feed. All right, the same process to remove the nib. It's just going to be gentle. We're just trying to really just get it to move. Once it gets out of its spot, then you don't want to be, of course, putting too much pressure or force on these. So now, let's see, we have this nib off of this, and to be frank with you, we're not going to be using that feed, and this is the nib that's going to go in my 743. I don't think it's going to focus if I bring it closer, but you can see it there. So let me set this over here. Okay, and again, what happened to that O-ring? Did it come out? Let's take a look. I think we can see it. There it is. So the O-ring did come out of here. We want to take that and we want to put that on our new feed. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Try to be gentle. We don't want to destroy it. Otherwise, we'll have to buy a replacement. We can see it there, although it does have some green ink on it, which is not of consequence. That's okay. So how are we going to get this off without causing any problems? We might be able to just get a little bit of the nail edge. There we go. And we're just basically separating that silicone ring. From there, we have it. Notice there it is. Okay, again, this is the nib. This is the feed that we're not planning to use anymore. We're going to go ahead and transfer that onto the new ebonite feed. It's a little bit loose, but it will still accomplish its purpose. Notice it sits there nicely. These ebonite feeds, and I can speak this from experience, having already done it on the 912, I really like them. I think that they are a perfect fit, and it's performed well in that pen. Let's see how it does in this pen. So now we're going to go ahead and put the feed and the nib together because we're ready to insert it into the 823 and get it assembled. So let's go ahead and set this on there. And basically you want the feed to fit like this. Let's see if it actually has it doesn't have any kind of something to hold it there. Notice that this has a cutout on the nib, and the cutout fits nicely on this feed. It's got a little way that it sits there. Actually, I don't see anything that holds it in place on this one either, but somehow just when you place it here, you can kind of feel that it fits nicely, just like that. You want to basically leave it so that there's some space between the end of the feed and the nib tip, as we call it. So you can just pretty much notice that it's aligning really well with the end of the feed. Now, again, the silicone O-ring is trying to move around, but I'm going to leave it so it's sitting flush against the feed. Okay, we're ready to insert it into the pen. It can go in any orientation because, as you can see, it's pretty much circular. But let's see. Yeah, let's go ahead and insert it. And we're just going to apply gentle pressure, consistent, gentle pressure as it goes down into the pen. You can hear a little bit. And we notice that based on how much is it, oh, actually, it's just about where it should be if it's not already. Yeah. Again, not too much pressure. You do not want to bend the gold. You do not want to crack or damage the feed. So that actually looks good. Okay. I think that fits nicely. Now the 7, 2, 3, let's see. It doesn't go any deeper than that. I don't want to force it. It looks like it's exposed a little bit more than it was before. And how can we test that? Well, we can just go ahead and place the other nib and feed into the 743. Let's see if we can grab that silicone from there. This may or may not be easy to do. Let's find out. Basically, I'm just trying to take that silicone O-ring out, although I might be able to get by just putting in I don't want to damage that. So let's try to just put it in. And it should slide right into place, right inside that O-ring. So let's go ahead and grab that properly. Okay. So when we put on the original, it just fits nicely right against the edge. So notice that the alignment is very similar to how it was on the ebonite feed in the 823. And again, it's friction fit. You literally just push it in until it finds its spot. And notice that here, the edge of the section just about has it almost touches that number on the nib. Whereas, let's compare these. Nope, it actually has the same fit. Good, excellent. So that gives us confidence that we've inserted that correctly. And I will clean that feed and then store it in this little plastic container. Let's go ahead and ink it up, shall we? I'm excited to see how it performs. Obviously, the initial write may or may not give us an idea about that. So I'm going to use Mont Blanc Mystery Black ink. This is actually one of the first ink bottles that I purchased, which is awesome. Good memories of this ink. Okay, so let's go ahead and fill it up. So it's actually been a while since I used this pen, just because I was unhappy with its performance, but I'm excited now that I have this new ebonite feed. We got a nice first fill. I'm not going to make efforts to completely fill it up just because black is not my favorite color, and I really don't know how much I'm going to use this pen. Let's see, we can close it, and then let's just leave it open a little bit to allow the ink to continue to flow, because I'm planning to immediately write with this pen. We'll seal the ink bottle. We'll do a little cleaning of the nib, and then we will write. Okay, wiping the grip. And then I see a lot of recommendations for just one pass over the feed with some type of cloth to absorb excess ink off the feed. And we're going to clean the nib. So to be frank with you, Pilot makes beautiful nibs, so it's worthy of cleaning to show off. All right, so that's how the nib looks. This is how the pen looks, inked up. You can see that ink just sloshing around inside the barrel, which is beautiful. So let's set some of our work surface aside, and we'll go ahead and get out our trusty Rhodia pad. This is, I always have to remind myself, 80 GSM paper. We're going to open it up to a page that I have not written in yet. All right, there we go. Okay, excited to write with this pen with the new feed. So this is the, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. So this is the Pilot Custom 823. This is in the medium nib size, and it is a number, to remind myself, number 15. And it is a, that's the size of the nib, and then it is a 14 karat gold nib. I love how Pilot nibs feel on the paper. I say that, and I was not a fan of the fine nib, but the medium nib is very smooth. So far, of course, I just inked the pen, but the feed seems to be giving enough ink to allow for a nice wet ink flow. And again, this is with the ink that normally in this pen would allow for skipping and other problems. So this is Mont Blanc. And this is the Mystery Black ink. Very nice. A nice dark ink color. In fact, sometimes Mystery Black can give off a dark gray or a faded black look, and in this case, we're not seeing that. It's a nice, thick, dark black ink, which is beautiful. So let's give our customary phrase. There you have it. So again, I'm planning to keep this pen in this current configuration with the medium nib, with the 2-slit ebonite feed from Flexible Nib Factory. It took me a long time to pick the color that I wanted this pen in. You know, this pen is available in this translucent amber. There's also translucent smoke color, which is basically like a dark gray color. And then they have it in translucent, or a clear translucent acrylic, which I'm really not a fan of clear pens, as you'll see in my videos to come on my channel, that I just really don't own a lot. To some degree, I view them as a cheap appearance, even though obviously a lot of them are very expensive and very nice, but that's just my taste in pens. Everybody's tastes will vary and differ. All right. Otherwise, of course, I'll make a different video that actually reviews this pen, but I hope that this video has been educational, showing you how you can transfer these number 15 nibs between the Pilot Custom 823 and the Pilot Custom 743, and then, of course, how to insert an ebonite feed, which really, in my opinion, upgrades this pen. Of course, I have to do more writing to really see its true performance, but so far, it's allowing me to be able to use this pen with the inks other than Pilot Iroshizuku, which is great. Even though I love those inks and I have several different colors of Iroshizuku, I want to use all my inks in these pens. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can see additional pen videos. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Adios, amigos.